You're listening to the Colts Blue Zone podcast with Mike Chappell and Dave Griffiths.
Hello, Colts fans, and welcome to the Colts Blue Zone podcast. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Joe Hopkins. With me is Mike Chappell, and the Colts on Sunday came up just short to the one-loss Philadelphia Eagles. We'll recap the heartbreaker of a loss for the Colts. We'll discuss takeaways from that game, and we'll also take a look at where the Colts stand both for the playoff picture and the draft order. As you know, at 4-6-1, that they've kind of not solidified themselves in one area or another. So we'll see how they're looking for the rest of the season. Before we get into it, Mike, how are you doing this Monday afternoon?
Alive and well, which is always a good thing for a Monday.
That's right. That's about all you can ask out of a Monday. So the Colts, no quitty pay in this one against the 8-1 Philadelphia Eagles. Nick Sirianni, former offensive coordinator, coming back into town. So without pay, Dayo Odangbo gets his first career start at defensive end, and the Colts start with the ball. They quickly find themselves in a 3rd and 6. Matt Ryan hits Michael Pittman Jr. crossing over the middle of the field for 24 yards. Colts into Eagles territory. Next play, Jonathan Taylor takes a draw and goes 28 yards up the middle, finally tackled at the 19. First down, Taylor rushes for 9 more. He's stuffed on second down, setting up a 3rd and 1. Matt Ryan picks it up with a quarterback sneak. First and goal at the 9, Colts turn to their star running back, 3 straight Taylor runs. JT finally punches it in on 3rd and goal from the 1-yard line, and the Colts take a 7-0 lead on the Eagles. Mike, this is the first time they've scored on their first possession all year.
Since Christmas. I mean, let's take it further back. It's been an issue so much of the year, almost all the year, they've been playing from behind, and they're not sound enough to play catch-up the entire game, so this was encouraging to get off to the good start.
Couldn't have gotten off to a better start. Eagles' first drive now. Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown connect on 14 on first down. A couple plays later, Miles Sanders converts on 3rd and 2, but a holding call on Philadelphia brings it back. 3rd and 12, Eagles can't convert, bringing up a punt. Kiki Kuti muffs it, but he's able to scoop it back up and gain 8 yards. He's had some issues with ball security recently. The Colts take over at the 28. Indianapolis trying to replicate the magic they found on their first drive. First down, swing pass to Taylor, loses 4 yards. Pittman picks up 13 on second down, bringing up a 3rd and 1. The Colts opt to pass the ball, and Matt Ryan can't squeeze it into Michael Pittman Jr. Coverage knocks it away, and the Colts go 3 and out. Eagles start at their 16, but reach Indy's 34 in just 3 plays. That's when penalties killed their drive. 3 consecutive flags on Philly sets up a 1st and 35. A couple solid gains gives the Eagles a 3rd and 11 at Indy's 35-yard line, looking for a little bit more yardage to set up a field goal, but they're unable to get that yardage because Jalen Hurts can't find an open man, and he's sacked by Zaire Franklin and Yannick Ngakoue combined to bring him down, and they punt the ball away. Into the first quarter now, the Colts pick up a first down on the ground. A couple plays later, JT gains 6 on 2nd and 7, which would have brought up a 3rd and short, but a holding call on Bernard Ryman brings the ball back, and the Colts can't recover from the penalty. They punt the ball, 13-yard return, sets the Eagles up at the 42. Philly avoids penalties on this drive, and they work with the ball down the field. Hurts really doing damage against the Colts with his legs. After 12 plays, the Eagles have a 2nd and goal at the 2, but a high snap wrecks the play. Hurts does what he can just to recover the ball. A loss of 8 would really set the Eagles back. Colts knock Hurts out of bounds for a short gain on 3rd and goal, and Philly settles for a field goal 7-3 with under 5 to play in the half. Colts trying to respond, and they turn to their tight ends. Mo Alley-Cox gains 14 on a catch and run. A couple plays later, Ryan connects with Kylan Granson for 11, but Ryman is called again, this time an ineligible man down the field. That'll back the Colts up to a 2nd and 14, and they weren't able to make up that yardage. The Colts punt after another Ryman penalty. Indy's defense does a great job of defending the run, and they force a 3-and-out. Kuti then gains 17 on the punt return. Colts start their drive at the 45 with 1 minute and 43 seconds left before the half and 1 timeout left to spare. First down, he hits Paris Campbell over the middle for 13, but a dump off to Deion Jackson loses 4. Jackson then gets 7 back on a rush on second down. Alec Pearson picks up 6 on the sideline catch on 3rd and 7. That'll put Colts in range for a 51-yard field goal, and Chase McLaughlin knocks it through. Colts go into halftime up 10-3. It's their second consecutive week going into halftime with a lead, when prior to last week against the Raiders, the Colts hadn't done that since Christmas. A good start for the Colts in this one, really getting, like you said, not falling behind, not falling into what's gotten them so many times this year where they have to play catch-up.
Yeah, and unfortunately, while they're up 10-7 or 10-3, and we'll get into this later on, it should have been more. And that's the problem, that they leave points on the field with possible points on the field with mistakes and the penalties. Again, they're just not good enough. Jalen Hurts is. The Colts are not good enough to overcome these holes and ineligible downfield, and later a couple of false starts, a sack. So, 10-3, you're feeling really good, but boy, you're thinking against a really good team like the Eagles, should be bigger.
Should have been bigger, and definitely going to have to expand on that lead if they hope to win. Eagles get the ball to start the third quarter. First play, Hurts winds up to go deep, but Yannick Ngakoue gets to the ball, knocks it out, and the fumble's recovered by the Colts. First down now at Philly's 22. Taylor gains 1 to start the drive. Then Will Fry's false start on second down puts them in a 2nd and 14 hole. The Colts gain 9 on a pass to Taylor, 3rd and 5. Paris Campbell makes the catch and turns to head upfield, but the ball's knocked away late by the defensive back. It's originally called a catch and fumble out of bounds, but Sirianni challenged the play and it was overturned. That incompletion brings up a 36-yard field goal, and it's good. The Colts extend their lead to 10. Eagles offense trying to make up for the turnover. Philly drives their way to Colts territory. First down at the 39, but the Colts defense would clamp down from there, leading to a 4th and 10. The Eagles make an interesting decision to go for it. Pass rush gets to Hurts and forces him out of bounds. Colts take over at their 47. Great field position. First down. Ryan doesn't like his first read and is just sacked. It's a loss of 6. Second down, a holding call on Michael Pittman sets them back even further, and the Colts can't recover from 2nd and 22. They punt the ball away. Matt Hawk's punt is a good one. Goes out of bounds at the 5-yard line, pinning the Eagles deep. Indy's run defense is able to hold and force a 3-and-out after 3 straight Miles Sanders run. Really good defending the handoffs in this one was the Colts' run defense. It was really just Jalen Hurts that they struggled with. Colts with the ball now. Zach Moss starts the drive with a 7-yard run, but on second down, Will Fries again with the penalty. He's called for holding this time. 2nd and 13, Ryan hits Michael Pittman on an out and up for 15 yards. A couple plays later, Ryan scrambles to his left and lofts it out to Kylan Granson, who makes a terrific catch, getting both feet in near the sideline. First down at Philly's 27. Taylor is stuffed for a 3-yard loss. Second down, Ryan can't find an open man and is sacked for a loss of 1. That's 3rd and 15 we're looking at now. At the 32, pass for Alec Pierce falls incomplete, and that'll bring out McLaughlin again for a 50-yard field goal. This one would miss wide right. Mike, that's 3 straight drives with great field position for the Colts, starting at their 45 or better, and they come away with just 3 points.
Again, that's their season. That's what it's been. When you get the ball at the 45 or better 3 times and you get 3 points, it's just maybe you beat Jacksonville or Houston or somebody, but you don't beat the good teams. And it's the old thing about letting them hang around and hang around. The really good teams find a way. They find a way to beat you. And unfortunately, the Colts, they find a way to lose. And this entire game, you just sit there and you just shake your head and think, should have got something there, should have got something there, should have got more there. And when you don't, we see what happens.
Yeah, even something as simple as gaining a few yards on 3rd and long so that the field goal is shorter distance for McLaughlin. I mean, I can't blame the guy. You can't consistently ask him to keep knocking down 50-yarders. He already hit 51-yarder earlier in the drive. And just, doing that time after time rather than putting him in good position, you're going to come away with some misses like that.
He's 5 out of 7 on 50-yarders. I mean, again, that's just asking too much. And the problem with this offense and with his team is when he misses, it really hurts. It really hurts you. And it just puts an awful lot of pressure on him. And he's been really, really good. Again, he's 5 out of 7. He's 12 of 15 from 40 or longer. And again, he's by and large he's done his job. But if you go through this, and each time it's what Taylor's stuff for a -3 on first down. Well, now it's 2nd and 13. And then it's a hold, it's a false start, it's a sack. And that's one thing Jeff Saturday pointed out after the game. He said negative plays, penalties, missed opportunities, and you get what you put out there, and they got sort of what they deserved.
They did. Eagles, after the missed field goal, take over at the Colts 40, and they go 60 yards in 5 plays, highlighted by a 23-yard run by Hurts and a 22-yard touchdown pass to Quez Watkins. It is now 13-10. Early fourth quarter, Colts need to add to their lead. Pittman gains 16 on 2nd and 10. A couple plays later, Jonathan Taylor rushes for 9. That sets up 3rd and 1. Taylor gets enough for the first, and his teammates keep pushing him forward 7 yards down the field. But then the ball comes out at the end. Eagles recover. The Colts turn the ball over in enemy territory. This is something that has plagued them all season, Mike.
They have 25 fumbles this year. 25, and they've lost 9. And one thing, it's how we were just pounding Matt Ryan. Had the 11 fumbles and the 3 lost early in the year. Jonathan Taylor's lost 3 fumbles this year. He's tied for the league lead on lost fumbles. That play, it's strange because you want to praise the guy for trying to get as much as he can out of a run. And, it was a first down run, which you got the first down. And then you just have to know the play's over. Now, there's a very good chance that he was sort of body surfing. It's not like he was, maybe he wanted to go down and he couldn't. So credit the Eagles for keeping him up and all that stuff. But at some point the play's over. I guess maybe in hindsight, if I'm Taylor, I simply quit trying to get yards. I just sort of stop fighting for yards, and maybe the officials called the play dead. But anymore, they've let plays continue when the running back or his offensive line are pushing down the field. But as important as Taylor is to this offense, he's had 3 fumbles this year that have just been crippling.
Yeah, this one was very similar to his fumble against Tennessee, where it was another situation. I forget if it was 3rd or 4th and short, but he just kind of wouldn't go down. The Titans kind of held him up and were just hacking at the football, and that's what happened here. After a while, they're able to get it loose, and Philly takes over at the 43. Hurts continues to do damage with his legs, taking it into Indianapolis territory. Then he hits A.J. Brown for a solid gain, but Franklin does his best Shaq Leonard impression and punches the ball out, recovered by Indy. They get the ball right back to their offense. Colts take over at the 35 with 9 minutes and 34 seconds left in the game. They quickly find themselves in a 3rd and 11, but Matt Ryan hangs in and finds Alec Pierce over the middle for a clutch 17 yards. The next play, Colts facing a couple plays later, the Colts facing a 3rd and 3 at the Eagles 36. Matt Ryan goes deep, drops the ball in between 2 defenders to Paris Campbell for a gain of 31. Beautiful throw, and it puts the Colts In a 1st and goal at the 5, under 6 minutes to go, a touchdown here makes it a 2-score game. 1st down, pretty predictable what they're going to do. Jonathan Taylor up the middle, stuff for no gain. 2nd down, Ryan has nobody open and just throws it away. 3rd down, Ryan can't find anybody, and Hassan Riddick beats Ryan for the sack, a loss of 14, and the Colts settle for a field goal to push the lead to 6. Mike, a disappointing result after 1st and goal at the 5.
I'm sitting there in the press box, and it's 16-10, and all I could think about was the last home game, Washington, 16-10, because of so many things you didn't get done, and it's just incredible. Now that Washington didn't have as much time, but you just had to feel that was the ball game to me. You punch it in, it's a 2-score game, and there probably isn't enough time for Philly to come back. You know, they're going to score maybe, but then you're going to get the ball back, and it's just, you just had a feeling that was the ball game. It just wasn't, because Philly, again, they find when you've got a quarterback like Jalen Hurts, he just stresses every level of your defense, and that was the case. And I just kind of felt that was the game. And when they didn't get it in, you leave yourself vulnerable, and they took advantage.
Yeah, we talked earlier about asking too much out of McLaughlin. At a certain point, you're asking too much out of your defense. 4 minutes and 37 seconds left to go. Philadelphia needs to go 75 yards to take the lead. The Eagles quickly face a 3rd and 2. Hurts in the shotgun, can't find anyone open, but he has all day. Eventually throws down the right sideline to the running back, Miles Sanders. Zaire Franklin in coverage just panics and tackles Sanders before the ball gets there. A huge pass interference penalty costs the Colts 39 yards. Mike, I know it's a lot easier said than done, but that deep pass was going to come up short. All Franklin really had to do was turn around, and instead he kind of just, tackles Sanders out of fear that, that Sanders would have scored a touchdown on the play. That was a real backbreaker for the Colts.
We talked to him in the locker room after the game, and he said, first of all, as much as that was on him, and it was, how about a pass rush? Get a pass rush so the Hurts just doesn't sit back there. If you go back and watch the play, and Sanders was just sort of a little flare to the right. He went in motion. I think he was supposed to be like a safety valve. Well, with the lack of a pass rush, he just took it up the field. And Zaire Franklin told us that he jumped in coverage. He jumped the hitch route to whoever it was over there, whether it was Devontae Smith, whomever, and that got him behind. Then he's playing catch-up with the running back, who's pretty quick. So at that point, he said it was kind of either tackle him or hope they don't throw a flag, because he said the worst case would have been a touchdown. So once he got behind him, he sort of knew there was going to be a penalty, because you just can't give up a touchdown. But my goodness, it was so much like the big play to McLaurin in the Washington game where Heineke had, 8-10 seconds to throw, and you're just asking, in that case, Gilmore to cover too long. And in this case, if there's any kind of a pass rush, it's doubtful that Hurts has time to look downfield like that, and the running back has time to get downfield as he did. So, yeah, it was a bad play by Franklin, but my goodness, how about a pass rush to sort of help these guys out?
Yeah, asking a linebacker to cover for, 7, 8, 9 seconds, whatever it was, that's going to happen from time to time. But still, wish Franklin would have been at least able to turn around or do something, because I'm not sure Sanders would have caught that ball anyway. It was several yards short. He would have had to come back for it. But regardless, Philly goes from their 33 to the Colts' 28 because of that penalty, and the Eagles turn to their run game. 5 straight handoffs sets up a 4th and 2 at the 9. And what have the Colts struggled to defend all game? Jalen Hurts' legs. Hurts picks up the first down. A couple plays later, 3rd and goal from the 7. The Eagles go with the quarterback draw, and Hurts walks up the middle, untouched. Extra point is good. Eagles take their first lead of the game. 1:20 left. Colts down 1 with 1 timeout. After an incompletion on first down, Ryan hits Campbell for 14. Then a short pass to Deion Jackson gains just one. Incompletion on second down, stops the clock with 48 seconds left. 3rd and 9. Brandon Graham just plows through Ryman on a bull rush and gets to Ryan for the sack. Loss of 7. Timeout Colts. 4th and 16 turns into 4th and 21 after Will Fry's false start. Desperation play now. Ryan is flushed out of the pocket, dumps it off to Jackson, and he stopped after just 5 yards. That's the ball game. The Colts lose a tough one to the number 1 team in the NFC. Final score, 17-16. Need new windows? Contact your hometown team today. Hometown Windows and Doors are Central Indiana's premier, locally owned, full-service Anderson window dealer with master installers. From design to installation, the hometown team handles it all. They carry unlimited options with competitive pricing. Call them direct to get 35% off your windows through December 15th. Hometown Windows and Doors gives you all the perks of a national brand with that hometown feel. Visit them at hometownwindowteam.com. All right, Mike, let's get to takeaways here. The first one to me is penalties absolutely killed the Colts. 8 penalties for 90 yards. Those are season highs. 5 of them were on the offensive line, plus another holding call on Michael Pittman Jr. That's 6 penalties on the offense right there, 6 of the 8. The defense didn't have very many, but the ones that they did were pretty brutal, specifically the 39-yarder on Franklin that really got the Eagles down the field when they needed a touchdown. Mike, the mistakes in this one, just the mental errors, the Colts really killed themselves.
Yeah, and a lot of it offensively was Ryman and Will Fry's, and with the sacks and the penalties. And we talked to Jeff Saturday today, and it was brought up. Are you considering sticking with these guys and letting them grow, or do you need to make changes? And his response was, we're going to go with what we've got. He just thinks that experience is important, and unfortunately, it can be tough at times. So the only thing they can really do is to put Ryman back out and put Dennis Kelly in at left tackle. But I don't get the impression they're going to do that, and so you're going to live with this. And they got some pretty good pass rushers coming up in Pittsburgh and, my goodness, Dallas. So it's just, I know people have been all over Matt Ryan, and I've tried to defend him as much as I can. It's so hard. It is just hard to play in this league anyway. And then when you've got a unreliable left tackle, it makes it virtually impossible. So I don't know how this gets better over the course of the season, because we're already 11 games in, and this is who they are. So, I guess you live with the sacks and the false starts and the holding penalties, but it makes it awful tough. That's why the Colts are scoring like 15 points a game, is because they're not good enough to overcome the mistakes, these self-inflicted mistakes.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about this offensive line a little further, because that's my second takeaway here. It remains a major weakness, and it's really been the overriding glaring issue that's held the Colts back all season. Fries had 3 penalties. Ryman had 2 penalties and gave up 2 of the Colts' 4 sacks. The Colts struggled to consistently run the ball after the first drive. 49 of Jonathan Taylor's 84 rushing yards came on that first drive alone. After that, they really weren't able to consistently get something going. It felt like every time they would have a nice play, it would be brought back by a penalty, and that really just killed the drives. Huge difference from the Raiders game, where they consistently found themselves in 3rd and manageable, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 5, situations like that. When you're looking at, 3rd and 7, 8, 9 or longer, it's really difficult for this offense to get something done, especially because this defensive line, or whatever defensive line they're facing, can just pin their ears back and go after Matt Ryan, who's not the most mobile quarterback at age 37. So sticking with Fry, sticking with Ryman. I mean, I guess I agree with it because I don't know what else you do that's going to significantly upgrade your offensive line. At this point in the season, you're 4-6-1. You might as well let the young guys get some experience. You might as well see if Ryman can kind of develop and make improvement as the season goes along, because you're going to have to make a decision about how you feel about Ryman, and that's going to impact your decision on a left tackle. If they think he could be the left tackle of the future, they need to find that out this year, or start looking for somebody else.
Yeah, and again, you're right. So it is that balance between still trying to win as many games as you can and be it. They're not out of the playoff thing. You can get into that later on. I try not to look at it because that window closed in the first 7 games in my mind. But there's so many questions you have to figure out. Quarterback moving forward, and left tackle, because you use that 3rd round pick on him with the idea that at some point he will be your left tackle. Now, they didn't think as a rookie at all. This kid's still very much a very young left tackle as far as experience at that position. But like you said, they've got to find out, is he the guy moving forward? And you hope he is, because that's one less thing off your plate in the offseason. But if he's not, then you've got to just add that to your list of what you have to look at going into the offseason and retooling this entire roster.
And, let's not act like this guy was taken in the first round and he's a huge bust if he's not a franchise left tackle. He could still provide value as someone who was drafted in the 70s as a solid swing tackle if he develops at that. Maybe next year they decide to move him to right guard, which has also been an issue, and they haven't found a solution. Will Fries looked good against the Raiders, really struggled against the Philadelphia Eagles. So finding out how you feel about Ryman, who, was drafted, he was already 25. He turned 25 in September. So this is not a, young. You look at him, and one of his weaknesses is he needs to get stronger. I mean, he just gets pushed around out there from time to time. How much stronger, how much more weight can you really pack on to somebody who's, this isn't a 21, 22-year-old. He's already 25 years old. How much more can you really develop his body? I think you can do so a little bit because, NFL regimen will definitely get you bulked up and get you stronger. But those are some serious questions and some of the reasons that he fell to the mid to late 3rd round there.
But they never anticipated him playing a major role as a rookie. That wasn't the expectations at all. So, and he's out there because Matt Pryor simply could not play the position at the required level. So it's like Jeff Saturday said, it's a tough learning experience, but the only way you get better, I guess, is to play. And the problem is the growing pains that come along with that. Those are penalties, those are sacks, and you can disguise or hide a less than adequate right guard. Although Will Fries couldn't hide him yesterday, but it is so hard. It's impossible to hide a substandard left tackle. I mean, Mo Ali Cox had a catch yesterday. It was almost like he was a tackle. He's been playing tackle. He's been playing a sixth lineman, and that's because they just simply can't trust Ryman to be out there by himself.
Yeah, and like you said, the reason that he's out there is because the Colts failed in their self-evaluation of Matt Pryor. They went through the entire offseason convincing themselves that he was going to be good enough, and he simply wasn't. They had other opportunities. I don't know what he would have cost, but Eric Fisher is still a free agent. At a certain point, they could have maybe given him an extra $1 million or $2 million, whatever it took, to bring him back, willing that he wanted to come back. But it's not like he's taking another job. I think that Colts could have brought him back at some point, and he would have been a lot better than what they're getting currently. So it's disappointing to see, but at this point in the season, you really just got to hope that Ryman can kind of develop and show some progress as the year goes along. Last takeaway here, the defense lacks a closer in the pass rush. They sacked Jalen Hurts 3 times. None of them came in the fourth quarter, and the ending was eerily similar to the Washington game, where they just couldn't get to the quarterback, and he had all day back there to sit in the pocket and find somebody running all over the field. It's really been an issue. I think a lot of people thought it would be solved this year with bringing in Yannick Ngakoue. It has not. Even when he had the strip sack on Jalen Hurts, they tried to block him with the running back. I mean, they had Miles Sanders on him. He better be a running back getting paid $14 million per year. Mike, it looks like, once again, the Colts are going to head into the offseason with defensive end as a need area.
Well, and we'll see, because Kwity Paye, I think he's shown enough to where he's going to be a player. Now, will he be a 12 or 13 sack guy? Probably not. But I think he's a pretty good all-around end. And he just the injuries are just nagging him. He sort of gets going in an ankle. So that hurts. And then let's keep in mind that they lost Tyquan Lewis. Was it 2 games ago, whatever it was? And so they've got 2 of their top 3 defensive ends, although Lewis was sort of the movable part. But let's say 2 of the 3 top outside guys didn't play. And, of course, Lewis won't play the rest of the year. Hopefully Kwity Paye comes back in a week or 2. But, yeah, it's when you're a quality team, when you're a playoff caliber team, you have a pass rush that when you've got the lead, you can at least affect the quarterback to where he's not patting the ball, moving around, giving your running back a chance to get downfield, giving Terry McLaurin a chance to get down the field. Good defense is as good as this defense is. It's not good enough to not have a pass rush, and it puts the back end of your defense at risk. That's not the way to win.
No, it's certainly not. I agree with you on Kwity Paye. When he has been able to play, he's looked great. Hopefully the injuries he can get some better luck with that going forward. I think his rookie year, the same thing kind of happened to him. I believe it was a hamstring that kind of set him back and kind of nagged for a few games. Kwity Paye is a good piece moving forward. Similar to Ryman, you hope with this extended playing time that Dayo Odangbo can kind of turn it on a little bit. Did not see a ton out of him in the pass rush department on Sunday. Hopefully he can kind of get his footing under him. The Colts believed that he had a ton of potential when they took him in the second round a couple years ago, despite his Achilles injury. So you just got to hope guys develop because, even with Kwity, you need another one. So we'll have to see going into the next offseason there.
Need new windows? Let the Hometown team help. Hometown Windows and Doors is Central Indiana's premier locally owned full-service Anderson dealer with master installers. From design to installation, we handle it all, carrying nationally known brands like Anderson with more options and competitive pricing. Call us direct and get 25% off your windows if you buy within the next 60 days.
Please contact your Hometown team today. We are Central Indiana's premier locally owned full-service Anderson dealer.
National brand, hometown feel.
All right, Mike, let's look at injuries now. Isaiah Rodgers left the game for a certain amount of time, but the cornerback was able to return. Heading into the game, Matt Pryor didn't play because I saw a report he was sent to the hospital Sunday with an illness. Do we have any more on that?
Yeah, we talked to Jeff Saturday, and he said Pryor woke up Sunday not feeling well at all. The team doctors sent him to the hospital for observation and evaluation. And he's been released from the hospital. Now, whether that was last night or today, I don't know, but he's back home now.
Okay. Was there any injuries that I missed from this game, or is that about it?
No, and again, Rodgers was evaluated for a concussion and obviously didn't have one because he did return the game in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I know. He kind of got dinged up on a play where I think he was trying to tackle Devontae Smith in that one. Let's look at the playoff picture. Division appears to be out of reach for the Colts, who are now 3 full games behind the 7-3 Titans. The Colts are currently 10th in the AFC. Wildcard seeds, 5th seed, 7-3 Bills. That's going to be almost impossible to catch up with for that 5th seed. 6th seed, there's the 6-4 Patriots, but New England has the tiebreaker over the Colts after defeating them in Week 9, so it's almost more like a 3-game lead on Indianapolis there. In the 7th seed, there are the 6-4 and 4 Bengals. So the Colts are 2 full games behind them. And then the 6-4 Jets and 5-5 Chargers are also ahead of the Colts, fighting for wild card spots. The Colts will play the Chargers later this year. So not looking too great in the playoff picture. Mike, what would you put their percentage chance of making the postseason?
10%, less than 10%. I mean, it's just, again, they've squandered way too many opportunities to put themselves in a good position, and this is going to be one of those where in December, well, if these 7 things happen, they've got a chance. It's the old thing, well, they've got a chance. Yeah, they got a chance. But most fans, myself included, will be looking at your next category, which is draft positioning.
A draft position here. If the season ended today, the Colts would have the 14th overall pick. Houston is running away with the first overall pick at 1-8-1. Picks 2 through 9 are all 3-loss teams, and picks 10 through 14 are 4-loss teams. So there's a lot of fluctuation that could happen as we go through the season. The Colts 14th right now, but just one more win than the team picking 2nd overall. So we'll see what happens as the Colts go along. They might win enough games, maybe 2 or 3 more games here to stay in the teens. They got Pittsburgh next Monday night. That's one of their best chances of getting a win this year. At Dallas Sunday night, that's going to be quite the challenge. Then they have their bye week. Then at Minnesota, who's also, they just got whooped up pretty bad by the Cowboys, but they're still a very good overall team. Then they have the Chargers on Monday Night Football. Crazy, Mike. The Colts, 3 of their next 4 games are on primetime for Indianapolis. They finished the year with the Giants, at the Giants, that is, on New Year's Day, and then against the Houston Texans in the final week of the season. That might be one of those games that nobody's trying to win.
It's going to drive you crazy and a lot of fans crazy, but I see 3 wins there. So it's going to, so it's going to be one of those, well, out of the playoffs, and not only out of the playoffs, but in pretty crappy draft positioning, just because of you weren't really, really awful bad. The NFL does not reward, just bad teams. It awards really bad teams, and this team's going to be in the mid-teens probably, and we'll see how they can handle getting their quarterback in the draft with such unfavorable draft positioning.
Yeah, I think Colts fans might riot if they don't either draft a quarterback of the future or at least a franchise left tackle during this next draft here. But still plenty of season to go, 6 more games left in the year. So, it's a little early to be looking at all this, but hey, when you're at this point in the season, you got to look forward to whatever you have to look forward to. And the Colts draft positioning is at the top of mind of a lot of Colts fans. This was a game where if the Colts find a way to win this one, I mean, they're squarely back in the playoff hunt. Not only are they 5-5-1, they've won 2 in a row with the new coach, Jeff Saturday. They just beat the 8-1 Philadelphia Eagles, top team in the NFC. Not only does it, get you one more game in your record in the wins and losses, but it goes such a long way in the expectations and the feelings around this team really let a huge opportunity fall through their fingers.
And that's in January. That's what we're going to be saying. Something I'm going to write about shortly is these 1-possession games. They've played 8 games decided by 8 points or fewer, and they're 4-3-1. That's the second most possession games in the league. And, Philly's 4-0. Minnesota's 7-0. That's I realize they got dusted by Dallas, but, I think Tennessee is 5-2. Miami's 5-1. That's the difference. It's just that player, we're doing the Mr. Obvious things, but it's making that one play, those 2 plays. I'm not talking about McLaughlin missing a 50-yard field goal. I'm not. That's crazy to say that cost them. It did, but it's a 50-yard field goal. It's the getting it in from first and goal at the 5. It's getting Heineke on the ground when he's launching the ball to McLaurin. It's a number of plays. It's making a 42-yard field goal at Houston. So when you do, you're talking about playoff positioning. When you don't, you're talking about draft positioning. This is not a complicated situation.
Yeah, I mean, I would strongly argue that they should have won all 3 of those games against Philly, Washington, and Houston, and they'd be 7-4-1 right now, squarely in a playoff spot. So that's really been the difference this year is the Colts. They did it last week against the Raiders. They were able to score with 5 minutes left, and then the defense closed it out for there. Gilmore himself has kind of closed out 2 wins for the Colts with the Raiders game and the Broncos game, which, by the way, the Raiders and Broncos are both, I believe, picking in the top 10 right now. So those are games. Talk about tiebreakers in draft position. If they're tied, those teams will be picking ahead of them. So we'll have a lot of time to talk about that as the season moves forward. Make sure to join us on Wednesday this week, day before Thanksgiving, as we preview their Monday night matchup with the Pittsburgh Steelers and their rookie quarterback, Kenny Pickett. Thank you so much for listening. Follow us on Twitter at Colts Blue Zone. Follow Mike on Twitter at mchappell51. If you're not already, please subscribe and download for us. That really makes my bosses happy. Again, thanks for tuning in, Colts fans, and until Wednesday, take it easy.